member of the New Zealand community here in Prague this afternoon.
Thank you, Richard. For the most part, I'd like to read the Governor-General's message for ANZAC Day. On the 25th of April, we pause to remember the men of the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, the ANZACs, who stepped into our history when they went ashore at Gallipoli to fight in what was to be an ill-fated campaign in which over 2,700 of our men died. On the hills above what is now known as ANZAC Cove, the Australian and New Zealand men distinguished themselves as soldiers. At times, they showed courage and fought like demons. At others, they extended the hand of peace to their Turkish foe, which endures to this day. It is often said that at Gallipoli, there was a sense of nationhood born for Australia, New Zealand and Turkey. That was the first few paragraphs of the ANZAC Day message from Lieutenant General, the Right Honourable Sir Jerry Matapare, Governor-General of New Zealand. An Australian friend of mine from an older generation used to like quoting some famous words when talking about ANZACs and the ANZAC commemoration. One of his favourite quotes was, "The war that forged a nation." I don't think it was the sheer number of times that he liked to repeat that phrase that made it ring true for me. World War I was one of the first major international events in which New Zealand partook, and the valiant effort that the ANZACs showed in that war and contributed to it, for sure contributed to a sense of national pride. It is that national pride that brings us here today, keeps us involved in CANZA events, and may also draw us back to New Zealand or Australia to live someday in the future. Growing up in New Zealand, one of the strongest impressions I have of ANZAC Day was marching the flag down to the war memorial in a little village called Waikaka where I grew up, in full Cub Scout uniform to lay wreaths. Even though I was quite young at that time, I could always feel that it was an important event and it had a very serious purpose. That same commemoration started long before I marched down to the war memorial and continues 30 years later with my niece, and will, I hope, continue for many generations after. The Governor-General then goes on to close with these two paragraphs. Over the years, ANZAC Day has become a time to honour all the men and women who have actually served our nations, and in doing so, some have made the ultimate sacrifice. It is a day for us to explore the notion of nationhood and to ask ourselves how we can live up to the hope our men had as they struggled ashore at Gallipoli and fought for those 8 long months in that campaign. It is a day to ask how we, in a very different world, can continue to reflect the values of comradeship, courage and compassion that the ANZACs showed against great odds. We lay wreaths at this day for the principles that we hold most dear: democracy, human dignity and peace. Thank you.